It takes around 10,000 hours to master a skill. If you divide that to 8 hours a day, working every day of the week, and taking no days off, that equals to around 3.5 years of your life. To me, that's a really long time. What makes it even worse is that a lot of the time is spent in the stage where you don't really know what you're doing. Everything feels kind of difficult, and there's lots of friction, lots of effort, and painful emotions involved. Now, what if I told you that there's a way you can 10x your rate of learning? What if there was a way to make these 10,000 hours just 1,000? This is actually something that masters of learning can do. And I really wanted to learn how these people who have mastered the art of learning things really speed up their learning. And I learned 3 clever hacks that I'm gonna share with you today in this video. When it comes to any skill, there's lots of different aspects to learn. For example, me learning to make YouTube videos, there's writing, there's filming, public speaking, editing, and graphical design. It's easy to drown to these different aspects for most people, but fast learners, they actually avoid this altogether. They ask, what is the smallest set of skills that I need to learn that really matter to my goals that I want to achieve? Now, there's this one principle called Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, which states that 20% of the things you do are actually driving 80% of the results. Instead of drowning yourself on all these different things that you can learn about a specific skill, focus on really what matters for your goal and aim to learn those instead. Now, the second hack is gonna be really key, and it can really make or break your progress. And in the intro, I talked about this period where everything feels difficult. This is what I call the beginner's hell. This is where most people quit. This is like filtering out most of the people when it comes to learning a new skill. Now, efficient learners, they actually utilize this period and use it as an opportunity, because they see that mistakes are actually fuel for learning. And whereas the average person thinks that they need to spend 10,000 hours on something to master a skill, from the perspective of fast learners, they actually look at the amount of mistakes they have to make to master a skill. And these efficient learners try to speed run through these mistakes as fast as possible, whereas average people actually avoid making mistakes. Now, the third and last hack is probably the most powerful one I'm going to share. And it's especially powerful if you're right now stuck in the so-called beginner hell. When it comes to most people, they are repeating a loop where they start to learn a skill, and then they hit the beginner's hell, and they start doubting themselves, and they end up quitting what they're learning right now because they deem it too difficult or not for them, and they switch to skill B to start learning that instead. But what happens is that they keep repeating the same pattern over and over instead of sticking to one thing. This is kind of trivial in itself. Like, we know that switching between different skills, different things you're focusing on, doesn't really get you anywhere. You're just keeping starting over. What master learners, what fast learners know is that this also applies within one skill as well. For example, you're learning to paint, and one day you're painting a house, but now the next day you're painting a tree, and the third day you're painting a human. And you can kind of see this happening, that you're learning different types of skills when it comes to painting. Like, it's a different skill to paint a human than it's to paint a tree. And what these fast learners really do is they lock into one subject at a time and they master it. And only once they have mastered that skill, they switch to another subject. I call this principle conquering the mountain before climbing 5 hills. And if you're learning to do painting, for example, stick to learning painting trees until you master painting a tree. And only then learn to master painting a human, for instance. So finally, let's put this all together so you can actually tenfold your rate of learning after this video. In simple steps. Number 1, choose a skill that you want to learn. And let's use the example of YouTube, because that's what I'm doing right now. Using the first principle, the Pareto principle, figure out what truly matters about that skill. What is really important when it comes to your goal. Then speedrun making mistakes. This is then principle number 2. Instead of avoiding making mistakes, which usually leads to productive procrastination and planning and doing things that don't really make you go forward, make the feedback loop faster and make those mistakes as fast as possible. Try to really speedrun through them. And finally, the hack number 3 is to stick to recreating the same thing over and over. Try to really master that one piece of art that you're making so that you can master it and then move to the next thing. For now, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel and also give this video a like so I know that you're encouraging me on this path to learning to make videos. And I'll see you in the next iteration.